Hello, my name is Jesse Claypool. I'm the founder and CEO of MantaPoole Technologies, and I'm here to tell you about the next generation of 3D cameras we're developing. Over the past 30 years, there's been a rise of smart machines. These smart machines have been enabled by advances in sensors, electronics, and software and have enabled a wide variety of current and emerging applications. These applications range from vision-guided robotics and industrial manufacturing, 2D and 3D biometric recognition used in access control, a variety of autonomous systems ranging from drones to personal vehicles, and also a large number of smart agricultural machines where essentially robots are trying to essentially pick fruits and vegetables that can normally only be picked by the human hand. In all these applications, in order for them to work, they essentially need to perform 3 action stages. These action stages are sense, decide, and act. In the first action stage, sense, these smart machines essentially need to capture information about the real world. Once they have that information, they can then process it using a variety of sophisticated softwares or artificial intelligence software packages to essentially make a decision. Once that decision is made, they can then use the physical system of that smart machine to then perform an action to create value in the real world. One of the challenges with these smart machines is that in order for them to make the correct decisions, they need the correct amount and type of information from their sensors. And essentially, the capability of your smart machines are limited by the capabilities of your sensors. Let's take a look at an example problem where we want to capture the correct amount and type of information to solve a problem in the real world. This problem, for example, is in the logistics industry where we want to essentially send the box to the right location. So essentially, in order to do this, we need to do 2 things. We need to, 1, read the barcodes on the boxes, but we also need to determine the size of the box so we can figure out how many boxes would, say, for example, fit in a truck. In the first part where we want to read the barcodes, if we take a standard imaging sensor, one of the challenges we can encounter in an unstructured environment is that we could read one of the barcodes but not particularly read the other one well. The other thing that's challenging to do with a 2D imaging sensor in an unstructured environment is that you don't have any information to judge the size of the box on them. In order to get around this problem, what is typically done is that you have to use multiple sensors. By using multiple sensors, say multiple imaging sensors or a variety of sensors, it adds to the size and complexity of your system, which just adds costs. In order to get around this problem, if you could just use one camera that could tell you the 3D information and allowed you to essentially dynamically choose the focus of the camera in software, you could read all the barcodes and get the size of the box. Essentially, this is where MantaPoole Technologies comes in. Essentially, we can take an existing imaging sensor by placing our proprietary active micro optics on it. It allows us to essentially capture 10 times the 3D information of other approaches, and it also allows us to capture high resolution point clouds and high resolution refocusable 2D. So in the value chain, in the sense, decide, and act value chain, MantaPoole Technologies sits in the sense portion of the value chain. Essentially, we capture that light field and then convert it to a standard data format, whether point cloud or refocusable 2D. Then a large number of existing software packages or AI software packages could then be used to process the data and make a decision. And then the existing smart machines can be either augmented or new smart machines can be made to essentially use in a large number of industries like logistics, robotics, autonomous vehicles, or automated ag to add value to the end user. Currently, MantaPoole Technologies works with the support of its advisors, various researchers at Oak Ridge National Laboratory and the CNF to essentially commercialize its 3D light field cameras and define the next generation of 3D. Thank you so much for your time. Please let me know if you have any questions and feel free to reach out to us.
Great. Jesse, thank you so much for that pitch. We'll now open the floor for Q&A. Thank you.
Thank you, Nima.
James, did you have something? It looked like you started.
I think that the logistics use case seems like a great fit and definitely a good application. I was just curious, coming from the Air Force side, are there other applications that you've seen partnering or tying in with any like aerial photography or aerial footage, whether it's drones or other types of capture, and any use cases there are limitations to those.
Yeah, so we looked, there's a lot of drone applications for this kind of technology. We'll probably start in the industrial space and then slowly transition there, but we can be plugged into the existing systems relatively quickly. Essentially, there's also a lot of applications. We had looked in the Air Force, for example, for like, it could be anything from bomb squad, like robots, to autonomous like vehicles. It could be a drone or a low flying aircraft.
That's great, and I want to be clear too. I mean, if we're looking at the DoD as a partner or customer here, that there's definitely still tons of logistics applications too. I mean, logistics is a big part of what we do. So I don't want to make it sound like that's the only application to pursue on the military side. I think there's a lot of dual use potential here, and I think could potentially be very useful.
Yeah, we're essentially right in the short term. We're trying to sit in the sense value chain, because if you go down and write tons of software packages, there's tons of other startup companies that can essentially leverage your data set and add value and essentially help you sell cameras.
Hey, Jesse, what's the pronounced need in logistics? Like, who's complaining and how much money are you going to save them?
So, for example, if you pick some of the lines, for example, you may have several thousand boxes going, and you can save them. You can essentially increase their capacity, so they don't have to, for example, upgrade their infrastructure, because they can make decisions faster.
And do you have any like customers lined up for prototype that they could incorporate this into their, as an OEM into their other functionality or otherwise?
We've talked with several machine vision integrators, and so essentially in about very shortly we'll have a version we can show them, and then we can start negotiating those relationships.
Well, I think it's really smart that you're focusing on an area where you can really harness, all the work that you've done and probably some uniqueness too in the market. So I think it's a great approach.
Well, I will add to that. It's a great approach, actually, that Jonathan has said. I mean, just focusing on one side of a market, and that's always to stay on it and to develop the whole technology, and then possibly go through another applications. Like in healthcare, I always say that in healthcare, for example, we have developed a lot of things to look at our insides, but not on the outside. So skin, I mean, application, I mean, the diagnostic of skin cancer, the diagnostic of this kind of thing is lacking of good vision, multi-focus technology like that, for example, because we are not a flat thing. So always that kind of things happen, and that can be really great, do great things, especially if you can go of different wavelengths or eliminating and taking wavelengths back from the skin and stuff like that. So there's a lot of application, lot of application that I see it coming. Although, of course, I mean, you have to concentrate on one, unless, of course, somebody like GE or something like that come and offer a lot of money for healthcare, and you can split into two. Talk to Amazon, by the way. But it's always like this. I mean, it's a great approach, great technology, and I see nothing but good stuff coming on this. I mean, this is really great application of a completely new sensor, vision sensor.
We looked into the healthcare industry, and there's a lot of applications for like endoscopes. We had looked at like autonomous surgery, for example, and essentially people have done work where they essentially do, like you were saying, the multispectral like organ mapping, and then you can do essentially AI to like autonomously get your robots to perform surgery. So you can, for example, free up doctor time, or someone can perform surgery around the world.
And you can help the segmentation because then you have 3D structure from there. So it's awesome. Yeah, it's really awesome.
So I kind of a question related to next steps for you. I know you said you're close to being able to demonstrate something and start the negotiations. Is there an ask, or is there resources or access to anything that would help you kind of get to that next stage for your company?
Yeah, so essentially right now we're going after grant funding. This could be DoD or other agencies. Probably in end of Q1, Q2, we'll be looking to raise a seed round. Right now we're putting together that exact number. But again, connections to potential end users is always extremely helpful.
Okay, great. Thank you.
I wonder if it wouldn't be, I know it's important to show focus. I wonder if it wouldn't be worth it or if it would be worth it, I should say, to reach out for some of the sexy things that have been mentioned in the health field or with drones, just to have in your back pocket, because I think that'll up the excitement among the target audience. But you clearly are articulate about, a whole range of use cases. I just want you to be prepared, because different uses obviously interest different constituents in the market.
Yeah, essentially in the near term, we're trying to target use cases that don't require you to go out and build a sophisticated software package that takes years to develop. Like you go into certain spaces, the value is not just in the data capture, but like in training your AI, for example. But it might take a long time to get that data set together.
Well, it sounds like that itself is a great opportunity, and then you've created something that's plug and play on any number of uses.
Yeah, so there's in the near term, target the applications that don't require that software set, but there's a lot of potential to go out and get these sets.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Thank you.